I spent almost 600 Minecraft days transforming this desolate island into a thriving fishing village, complete with a 100% custom automatic pickle farm, sugarcane farm, tons of shops, a blacksmith, so many boats, actual interiors, and custom trees. So come join me on this really long journey to create possibly the biggest transformation we've ever done on this channel. Hey there, Brewberries, what's up and welcome to another episode of Brew and Build. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm having a great day. I have been doing a lot of stuff in between episodes. I have been doing quite a bit of planning, that's what, and resource gathering. Looky here. So I ended up, last episode we did the end dragon fight and all that. We got some shulker boxes and stuff, and this is kind of the haul that we had left, and we had one left over. Well, I have since gone back. There was another end city that was even bigger, and this is what we pulled from that. But looky here, I haven't even made all of these yet. I just went ahead and made a handful of them, and I think I got 56 shulker shells. So that's a lot. And we also got a smithing template, which I have never gotten before. So I've never used that. I don't know exactly how it works, but at some point, maybe we give it a whirl. So I've been spending the better part of a week just kind of going through and like digging out. So we've got a shulker, almost 2 shulkers of grass and 2 shulkers of dirt. Eventually, I also want to get a whole nother like a half a shulker of dirt and then a shulker and a half of gravel. So then we can have a shulker of coarse dirt. I'm gonna say shulker box here a lot. Forgive me. That is roughly where we're at now. I'm still going to continue gathering up some different things, but let's look at some of the plans that I've got going currently. So I've started making a little bit of cliffside here. It needs to come up to that level where this land needs to be roughly flat here, and I think we'll probably be able to put like a building here, but we need the main road, or at least a larger road, to come this way, because this is where the secondary entrance to our sewer system is. So we're gonna be still just continuing to do a bunch of like terraforming and stuff. I need to gather up more dirt and lay all of this out and kind of like starting to do some terraforming to figure out what is this landscape gonna actually be flowing like. But we're not gonna be working down here. We're gonna tackle a good chunk of this island here. I don't know how much we're going to get done. I don't really have a plan for stuff to get done, but what I'd like to do is we started this area, this farming area here, and it's going to continue over this way, and eventually we'll transform this into, I think this is where the bees are going to be, somewhere along here on this island. If we fly here, you can get a better perspective here. That island looked big, but it's not really like that huge. Like if we put a house here and then had some bee stuff going on around here, or vice versa, it's not going to be that bad. And it's not going to be this hilly either. We're going to flatten it out a good amount. Now this island here is also not that big. It's really not too huge. So what I think I'm going to do is I want to make this into a fishing village. And in order to do so, we have a lot of resource gathering that needs to be done of different blocks to be able to build the houses, but we also need to knock this island down to about this level, because this is roughly the level that I want the houses that are going to be stilt houses out here. Then eventually we're going to have a bridge come out from about here, and honestly this island might kind of go here and then we'll go all the way across, and it'll be a smaller bridge. I think maybe it's a little bit as big as this one over here. I'm not really sure. I want this bridge to be like big and epic, like that you are entering the city, and then this one to be like you're on your way to the city. Now, unfortunately, I do need to take this beacon down because I desperately need the beacon over at the island that we're going to be tearing down. No shot I want to tear that whole dang thing down without haste. Now, clearing all this land actually didn't take nearly as much time as I thought it was going to. I did take it down an additional layer or two, but we built that back up with dirt. I mainly just wanted the stone, so I'm a greedy little booger. But that also then allows us to start jumping into the actual town planning and layout. And when I do this, I like to start with like the main roads. I feel like that really helps establish like where the main traffic flow is for the town. And then you can start thinking about side streets and like where the buildings all go. And that just really helps make the town feel more like how it would actually organically pop up. And you can see this town is actually pretty decent sized. I believe there's like 30 different houses, accounting additionally the docks that we end up building. And the docks take up over half of the building count, I believe. But all the houses are smaller, and we're gonna make them out of like wood or something like that. And there's a few bigger builds that are gonna be like a fish market and a boat storage area. I don't exactly know, but I'm liking how it's turning out. I think it's gonna be really fun to build, and I'm excited to jump back in. Well, I think it's safe to say that a little bit of work has been done. My gosh, am I excited. This is gonna be so sick because the view you're gonna get from this, right now you can't really tell because it's all flat and just like no buildings and all that. But from here, just imagine you're gonna see like a whole village just like chilling right there. And the cool thing is this area is gonna be so much bigger than that area. Like this already feels like a pretty like good size. Like I wanted it to be a good kind of bustling little fishing village. But there's definitely a good amount of houses and stuff going on here. There's, I think, like 26 houses or something like that. 26 buildings. They're not all houses. This is going to be our big honker of a bridge. I don't know if we're going to do this in this episode because this seems like a decent-sized build. But I do want to do most all of this. Hey, look! You can see our gunpowder farm from all the way over here. Here is the village, and I've been using maps to help me plan it out because I don't always love going into like the spectator camera thing. Like it's helpful and stuff and it helps get the lay of the land, but for some reason I feel like a map just helps really simplify things down to their very, very basics of shapes and colors to really get a good idea of like, is this a good layout or not? Now this is a lot of building and there's going to be a lot of small builds in this, but also some moderately decent sized builds. And so we need a lot of materials. And I have some materials over here. We have plenty of stone, so that's good. But we need to just go around, gather up all the different things. We've got plenty of like woods and stuff. But I want to gather up other wood types and other stone types so that we have plenty to have variety in this, because we're not locked into a total build style on this village because it's not incorporated into the city look and feel exactly. Like it will have some that are thematically tied to the city, but it doesn't have to be strictly like dark oak and copper roofs and things. So I want to have some variety, and in order to do that, we need variety of blocks that we don't have. So let's go on a little bit of a gathering spree. There isn't really anything in particular that I needed to like specifically gather. I kind of gathered a whole bunch of just stuff. A lot of wood, a lot of leaves, a lot of azalea leaves in particular. We use that a lot. But I did also gather a ton of mushrooms because I think using mushroom blocks as like a central part of main pathways that get a lot of traffic is a really good way to show like stamped down and really like smoothed dirt from high traffic. And it's a really good block for mixing with packed mud and like packed mud bricks and coarse dirt. Like it's got the perfect tone of brown to do pathways, I think. And like this is meant to be a further afield fishing village than like it's like from the town, but it's not going to be using the same like stone bricks and stuff that we're going to be using for the primary cities roadways. So using dirt, I think, makes the most sense. And I gathered a load of extra mud because I want to wrap the island in it, and then we'll do the whole azalea leaf and drip leaf treatment that we did in the kind of like muddy sewer area. I think that'll look really great for this. Oh boy, have I been doing a lot of work. And yeah, we got the roadway in. This is the texture that we're going to be going with. Predominantly mushroom block, because I think it looks like kind of like stamped down dirt. Looking really good. Coarse dirt, packed mud, the usual. And look at our map here. Isn't that looking fabulous? I did some adjustments a little bit, but oh man, now that the road's actually fully in, I think it's looking so good. And last little bit you saw there, I was doing some coastal work, and we've actually got a really cool little scenario over here on this edge. So we're gonna have some little bits of mud that are like similar to over at this little muddy area where those two little bits there, they stick out. We're gonna have that on this side, and then there's a little bit here on this side and a couple little ones there. But if we go all the way down in here, I've been slowly progressing. Golly, I thought at first, oh my gosh, what is happening? All right, hold on. Let me get my art of war here. You're no match for me now, bud. Where is he at? There he is. All right, sorry. I really just wanted to use my trident. I hadn't used it in a while. So this side of the coastline is actually pretty darn interesting, and I think I'd like to keep this gigantor hole here, and I think what we could kind of do is maybe make like a Zelda water temple all the way down here. Like, imagine you put on your heavy boots and most of the lake is pretty shallow. It's not like anything too crazy, but can you imagine having like a big old temple down here? But that is for another day. Today we still have plenty of building to do. Now, the docks are definitely going to be a lot more textured. I'm not going to be leaving it like this, just plain old spruce. We're going to have support structures and all sorts of stuff. But this is the basic layout of the dock, and I think it's going to be really nice. And I've tried to make it so that it's wide enough that we could have some custom boats that are a little bigger than the dinghies that we actually ride around in, but not too big, because sometimes I feel like a little fishing place like this might have one, possibly two big boats, but they're mainly going to be small fisherman boats. And I think that they're almost more like large kayaks or canoes. And I think that is appropriate. And I don't think we need to go any bigger than that for most of the boats. But now that the roadway is done and all the planning and stuff is in and done, I think what we're gonna have to do next is start in on the houses. And I think I'd like to start on this little guy. So this is not going to be a store or anything. It's just going to be a house. So the color palette I want to work with is kind of different. I'm not really exactly sure. I want it to be predominantly a white-ish color, using the new pale oak. The white wood, if you can notice it, there's some like pink that's in there. So I thought possibly using some cherry. Is this cherry wood? Yeah, cherry wood would actually accent it pretty well, where it give it a little bit of a highlight. I think that might be a really kind of nice aesthetic, where we could have maybe pink windows or something like that. And then you can use the white terracotta because it has a bit of a pink hue to kind of translate between that and the other white blocks. This is what it is shaping up to be like currently. It is supposed to be small. It is not meant to be that big. This is the smallest house that's going to be on this square area, and it does need to be small because essentially you want to look at it as if like you're approaching it from this direction. You don't want this house to cover up these. These are going to be the tallest houses that we have. So in order for us to be able to see these, even they're going to be 2 stories, but then this one and all of these kind of just need to be smaller builds in general so that they don't cover everything up. It's okay to cover up some, but we don't want to like cover everything up. So this is kind of what it's looking like. This little bit of a white house with some pink accenting. I think it looks really nice. And of course it's bare bones right now. We don't got anything going on, but I want to add a chimney here, I think is what I originally was thinking. A little bit of a chimney here. I think I might make it because it's such a small house, doing a 3-wide chimney seems a little bit aggressive. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep on working on this, and then start working on some other of these houses. There are 26 buildings here, so I got a lot of work to do. So let's go ahead and jump back into time-lapse mode, and I thought maybe I'll talk about the updates that Minecraft has been putting out, because I'm getting pretty excited about the new stuff. All right, so when I initially did this build and all of this, like this was prior to the most recent update. So I was going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about the newest stuff, the Happy Ghast in particular. As soon as that comes out, we're going to pause from this area and we're going to go build in the sky. I got to find one, of course, I guess, but that Happy Ghast concept is such a good idea. I cannot stress to you how exciting it is to be able to have something that you can ride and build in the sky with no effort. Oh, it's going to be so good. Instead of making netherrack platforms all over the place, I can just fly around my little ghast buddy and we can build things in the sky. The mangrove islands will live again. Alrighty, we now have 5 houses done, and the little village is starting to come together, and I gotta say, I'm actually really loving it. So the builds are not matching that style over there, and I think that's totally okay. We're gonna have some that tie in traits, like this little guy. I really do dig this little house. It's a kind of going with the gray, but going more with like maybe what would be cheaper materials. Instead of tough, it's going with more of these different cobbled together. This is the new pale oak, looking pretty good. And using mangrove and stuff, those are just spare ladders that I didn't know what to do with. But I've been trying to do these kind of like interesting windows and these kind of more corner 3D-esque windows using trapdoors, and I'm really liking it. And look at this chimney! I'm using mangrove, dark oak, and then random, what is this, deep slate bricks? I think it looks good. It sticks out and is like a little bit different. I don't know how to feel about the bricks that are there, like the red bricks, but they're staying because I'm not gonna change it. This little guy is pretty standard. I think it's gonna look a lot better once we have landscape stuff going on around it. The backside looks really nice, actually. I really do like how the roof and stuff kind of ties in together here. I do like that. I think the thing that it throws me off on this is the front, because it looked weird and really boring with just a little jut going up, you know, just a roof going up. So I added this little front sticky outy bit, and it does make it bigger by a little bit, but it's kind of makes the space a little bit strange. So I'm not really sure how to feel about it. But it is what it is. I do enjoy this one. This one's pretty dang nice. I do love this combination. I kind of was just experimenting around, and I really like it. I like having the oak trapdoors underneath the, what is this? Bamboo trapdoors. And then, of course, we've got a nice little fireplace going on. All of these homes, I kind of figure, need fireplaces of some sort. Not necessarily every single one, but most of them. And this has a little bit of a green roof with some moss and bamboo, because this side is very bamboo themed as well. I actually really dig just like this kind of like open bamboo aesthetic. I think it looks really nice. And then the backside, kind of boring. Doesn't really have much of anything going on, just some windows and stuff. Doesn't need anything too crazy, honestly. And then the first house that we really did, this is the kind of like white gradient that I had, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I was playing around with the new woods, and I think it looks pretty dang good. And I do love the chimney. I think it's kind of a fun little thingy having those guys up there, the where those lightning rods or whatever. I think it looks good. I'm digging it. I'm really liking it. I wasn't really sure about this house, honestly, to begin with, but the more I see it and the more I see other houses around, the more I'm like, you know what? I think it looks good. And then, of course, the last house that we've made thus far, actually one of my favorites, because I really love, I've found after building with this house and this palette, I love mangrove wood, but by golly do I hate getting it. Like that tree gonna give me like 5 wood 10 wood. Oh my gosh, we had another one. That one's gonna give me also 10 wood. It's so obnoxious to mine. You get so little wood and there's so many leaves in the way. I just honestly hate it. But we've got a little corner entrance here on this guy. And just look at this. Look at this texture. It's so good. Oh, I love it. Now, to take a break from building up these buildings, I wanted to tackle a little bit of this area here just to start figuring out what do we want to do with the dock texture, because it can't be just spruce. That's kind of boring. So I thought maybe first what we do is we start tying in the roadway and kind of fading the roadway into this texture. I think that would be a good first approach. Now, how much of the road do we want to actually have kind of going on to this? And I don't really think you can't make packed mud stairs, right? Or yeah, no. Why? That's such a miss. Not being able to make packed mud slabs and stairs. Oh, that's so bad. I think a good texture possibly to start adding in would be this, the oak log texture. I think it adds a good kind of like dirty wood looking aesthetic, but doesn't totally not like, it doesn't like not vibe with what we've got. And I think we're just gonna have to get over using slabs here. I don't think that we're gonna be able to get a good texturation of the dock with just slabs. I could be wrong, but I just don't really think that that's going to be the case. So I think we need to utilize some of the blocks in the game to get it. And that's going to make the bottom look a little weird. I don't really think there's anything that we can do about that. This isn't what we want. No, that's not. No, that's not. I'll get, oh no, I right-clicked it again. Okay, there we go. Now, a block I do want to add in is this guy. My new love for this block, now that I have discovered it, it's going to be so dominant in this area, and I think it's going to look really nice. Now, let's see. Now, the only problem with this block is how obnoxious it is for me to go and get it, but I'll make the sacrifice if it looks really good. Okay, I think we need to add in a little bit of contrasting bits and bobs here, possibly. Honestly, I think this is a pretty good texturation. I think we can utilize the mud here and kind of like identify areas that are maybe a little bit more dirty and are collecting stuff, collecting dirt, because we could use both the packed mud and the mud just to make it look like it's a really muddy type of looking area. I think that would look fine. Let me do a little playing around with this and I'll get back to you. I did initially think, oh, we're just gonna, you know, do a small section of this and then I'll talk to you about it and then we can go into doing all of it. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I sent it. I got into such a zone of laying out all the different wood types on the ground, and I blame mangrove wood for that, because every time I see that wood, it makes me just want to use it everywhere, and I just started placing it down where I thought it should go, and that one thing led to another, and suddenly the whole entire dock was textured. And then I built legs for the docks, and then all of the docks needed smaller legs for the extendo bits. So it's done. The docks are done. All right, our dock is looking so much better now that there's no blue holes in it, except for the one big one. But that is mainly because I want to figure out like what the build is going to look like first before we put in the floor and the support structure and stuff. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to A, walk you through the texturing, but then B, I want to figure out what one of the builds looks like so that we can do a little bit of fun stuff. So the texturation, the way it kind of works is this is the road, of course, and then we've got a bit of a gradient going on, and we start to introduce some planks, mainly in jungle planks. And the way I've done the texturing is I've really tried to start with a gradient. So it goes from the road brown, and then it gradients in, maybe a little bit of roadway brown coming in, but then it really transitions into this darker brown tone, using mangrove wood, occasional stripped dark oak, the planks, the spruce planks that we've been using, oak logs, not stripped, and occasional trapdoors just for a little variation in the oak logs. And that's really it. That's the main thing that we're working with on the darker sections. And the way that I have it kind of working is in between all the housing areas where all these, this is like a tiny little path. Well, actually, no, never mind. That was a bad example. This is a pathway, and you kind of have to, wherever a stripped spruce is, that is the edge of a building. That is where a wall will be. So you're going to have all these little interconnected pathways going on, and the in-between zones, the way I'm thinking about it is they're dark because the light's going to get blocked most times of the day, except for the primary like noon spot where it's directly above. So it's supposed to kind of be like shadows slash maybe the more natural color of the wood. And then in areas that are maybe a little more open, like this is right in front of the fish market area. That's what this build is going to be. And this being a little bit more open, maybe this is going to indicate that some light gets here more often. And that is why it's a little bit bleached. Maybe it's a little bit more sun bleached or whatever. So by the buildings, I tried to put shadows where it's not going to get sun as much, but then the areas that do get exposed get a little bit brighter. And so, yeah, you've got a whole bunch of just little nooks and crannies that you can walk around through and kind of get your way around. And you can kind of see this gradient working out in the map itself, where we've got this darker area, all looks just like one color of brown, but we know that it's a little lighter. And then you can see kind of when the oak starts getting introduced, and then it gets brighter and lighter as we get further out into the dock. So the idea of this, and the reason this is dark, is because this building is right here, so this is actually going to be just like a little narrow alley. But the idea is, as we start to get into more open areas that receive more direct sunlight consistently, we start to introduce the lighter palette with the oak, and then down here is where we really start to introduce a lot of the lighter colors, using even some birch to really indicate some sun bleaching, but not too much. I don't really love the color of birch. I think it works well for this sort of use case, but it works for walls, but I don't know why. I don't really love it. But this area is going to be dark because I'm imagining that this is going to be a lot of storing area, a bunch of crates stacked up high and stuff, maybe some larger thingies. I don't know exactly what yet, but I'm thinking this is going to be a big storage area, so it's going to be covered up quite a bit, so there's going to be a lot of shadowing and stuff going on over here. So that's kind of the thinking as to why this is dark. But then every single one of these is lit up. I even have gone ahead, as you saw, I put in pillars and stuff for the support structures, and then all the way underneath it as well, there is a whole pillar support system going on, and I think it's looking good. We do still need to extend the mud all the way down so that these are actually connected. Right now they're kind of just floating, but I don't have enough mud to get the job done, so I need to go and do that. But one step at a time, one step at a time. And so, yeah, this is going to be the inside. This is going to be an interesting build where the house is actually down on this first floor, and then there's going to be like a small little patio type of thing here. Nothing too crazy. It's not even going to be covered, I don't think. But gonna have like a little patio sort of thingy. Maybe there'll be like a small covering, but I want to work on this guy here. And what's gonna be nice about it is I want it to be 2 stories in the sense, but we're not going to actually have a roof. I want to make like a 2nd story patio that we use a bunch of, what are these? Campfires and a lot of leaves. I want to use a lot of leaves to be able to make it so that we have like a pop of lush green. I'm trying to think of like people that come through like this city or town, like the city, but don't want to live in the city, can't afford to live in the city. So they come out here and they make a living here in this town. And so this is like a multicultural area is what I'm thinking. That's why some of the houses are really different. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. This one, what I want to do is, it's very similar to that build over there, use a lot of mangrove and dark oak, but I also want to interweave a little bit of this block in, the jungle wood. So I think jungle wood goes fairly decently with this color palette. We're going to make this 3 tall, I think. Most of the wood blocks you can pretty much guarantee. I think actually this one we'll just go straight up like this. All the corners we'll make sure we use mangrove all the way up. I think that'll be good. We don't have to use the stripped spruce. That was just to mark where the build was going to be. Now these corner posts, I do want to extend all the way up, but I don't want the red bit at the top. I think that is maybe a little bit too much of a standout pop of color. So if we're thinking about this, is this going to be tall enough? If we put slabs, it'll be short, but I think it'll work. I think it will work. I don't know where the door is going to go, so we'll just chop that out for right now. Let's put it back for right now because I honestly don't have any idea where the door is going to go. So that would mean, well, no, we'll put slabs all the way out to here, maybe. Maybe this actually needs to go up one more. All right, I've extended this up. The reason why I extended up is because I actually want to be able to put in little windows like along here. I think that will be a good way to allow for windows without having to think like that hard about like, I don't know, people viewing into the house and stuff. I think sometimes that can be a little sketchy. But I also wanted to try, like, how do these look as possible windows? Do they work as windows? Like, if we maybe added some slabs or something over them, would they work? Then we can kind of maybe do something like that. I don't really know how much I love having the full slabs or not. Maybe we can work something else out, but we can figure that out. That'll be fine. We'll get it squared away. Don't you worry. But okay, now let's get to building this area up. So I'm thinking walls on all of the bottoms, just to give a little bit of a gradient, not gradient, I guess it's kind of a gradient, like a size gradient. I don't know if that makes any sense. That'll be a good height, I think. And then we can just go in with our campfires and add an overlay. All right, build is done. And from this side, I'll admit it looks kind of just like a hodgepodge of leaf blocks thrown together on top of wood. To be honest, that actually kind of is what it is. But if we get up closer, we can start to see more of what we're looking at. So here is where the front side is. It's got the little door here, and I decided to have it so that the leaves on this back side, this is the back of the house, the front of the house is over yonder, and this back side that faces the town actually has the leaves growing out and over and down the wall. And then we have a little bit of wood here, little hangovers to kind of stop the leaves from covering up and kind of stop their growth. And then added in some different planters and things all around the house. And it's looking pretty good. So this is a one trick with resin that you can do. I'm sure y'all have seen it from other people, but you can put resin on leaves, on moss to make little trees. And so I thought that was kind of a fun, different pop of color. You can see I added some rooted dirt up there, or rooted root. Are they just roots? Just roots? I don't know. There's a little bit of a chimney here. And then we've got little pots here. Also, this is one thing, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I am using a little bit of a texture pack. I've brought back some of my older textures that change like pot colors and stuff, because some of these are different colors. So we've got blue, there's an orange, yellow, and there is a red variant. But when you put something in it, it turns back to the normal terracotta color. And then we just have a little bit of a little baby bamboo here and another little itty bitty pot here. Now, I know it looks a bit like a mess of leaves and stuff and kind of all over the place, but remember, this is not exactly how this build will be viewed when you're experiencing it in the world. This is how you'll be experiencing it in the world. Did you like that transition? I thought it was pretty slick. So this is why I wanted to do a big pop of color here, and why I wanted it to be taller, because with all of these houses in, you're never going to actually see a huge wall. You're going to always see kind of like the house with maybe a little pop of color over the top of these houses. Or if you're in the back area here along this road, all you're going to see is like a little pop of color, maybe right over the top. You'll always see a little bit of flowering going on, but nothing crazy. And I wanted to make sure that when we are walking around, we are experiencing the build. So this is partially one of the things that I wanted. So this is what the final build is looking like up close and personal. And I love this. I will walk you through all of these little houses real quick, but I absolutely love the way this one's turned out. And the reason why I did all the flowers is because I knew this is what the experience would be like when you're walking underneath. Because you don't necessarily see a wall, you just experience these few, and I wanted it to feel like you're walking under a little bit of a hanging garden. And I think it's so nice. And so when you walk around here, it's just very foliage driven. And so these people own this plot, which originally I was going to put a house here and this was going to be the patio, but then I decided to continue this theme and put in a bunch of planters. And so we had these trees here with like the berries or whatever, these like oranges, or I don't know what exactly they are, but we had this sort of action going on here. And then that kind of made me think, well, maybe we just extend it and make like a little farm area where they wanted to grow potatoes, carrots, and then also have a spot to have even bigger trees. And I think it's really cool. So we've got like an additional sapling here, just a baby little sapling, potatoes, carrots. And then if we go down, this is where they grow the different like low light variants of blocks or plants. So we've got a little bit of netherwort, some mushrooms. I put some coral because I thought it kind of looked like a weird dingy plant. I really dig how this has turned out. I really love how even this kind of blocks it a little bit, so you can't necessarily see it fully, but from the side view, it looks so complete. And the thing is too, you're not even going to see it from this view. You're never actually going to see it full on like this. You're always going to have a building blocking it. So I think that's just something that you have to like really pay attention to when you're designing the different houses and stuff. It's like, what's the viewpoint actually going to be like? And that's what all of these are supposed to be like. It's like, you only are going to see it like this. You're never going to actually see it with that giant wall of flowers or anything like that. It's always going to be covered up. Now, all of these builds I have done and interiors are done. For the first time ever in Pixel Brew history, all interiors are going to be done. So this is a little bedroom, little painting, little closet with extra wood. Nothing too crazy because the builds are not big. But if we go up here, this is a beautiful spot. Absolutely Gorgina. Look at this. Isn't this just so lovely? So I wanted to make sure that this stuff was not like crazy tall so that they could still enjoy the view. And so this area is going to be blocked off in view a little bit because this build will be probably taller than all of these. It's not going to be crazy big. I don't want to make it too big. So it's going to block this view, but they can still see out this way. And that I think is going to be really good. I also just wanted to share what this looks like with shaders on. Isn't this beautiful? I love the cherry blossoms. I love the falling leaf effects. I know they're adding that in the next update and stuff. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I think we're gonna walk around with shaders on for a little bit because I'm just having a good time. So that is that house done. Now let's go back and start working our way through front to back here as to, first thing we need to do is update our map, because this is indeed quite complete now. We only have, I think, 3 more houses to do. Yeah, there we go. I mean, you can't hardly tell because they're brown roofs and stuff, but this whole chunk here is done, and that's lovely. I absolutely love the fact that that's happening. Let's work our way right to left, front to back. So this little house this was the pink floor house. Wasn't totally sure how to make the pink floors work. I tried to pull it in to the outside initially by using cherry logs, and it wasn't working. The cherry logs just don't really match the other wood types, and there's too many stone variants that go well. Like I could pull in purple terracotta to make it work, but I didn't want to do that because it is partially on the dock, or it's a good chunk on the dock, so didn't want to do that. So this is what it's looking like on the inside here. And this one actually has a nice fireplace because this portion is on the actual ground. So we do have a nice little fireplace going on here. And then the inside here got some little windows with shelves. Of course, some paintings and things, all the necessities, a little reading nook with 0 books because we're poor. And then a little bedroom area, nothing too crazy, just a little cute little interiors, nothing crazy. This house is I think I just had a stroke. This house is probably my favorite color palette. So it is the pale oak, acacia, and then spruce. Actually, I'm gonna turn off shaders because it's actually kind of hard to see when the sun's like at this angle. So as I said, pale oak, acacia, and then spruce looks so good together. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I think the fact this is a warmer brown and this has also got a little bit of warm tints to it kind of pull the brown warmth of the spruce. I think it's so good. So we've got little windows up here. This one also, because it's on the ground, also has a nice chimney going on. And then I also, fun little detail is I'm adding signs onto some of the plank sections just to add a little dimensionality. Is that a word? I think it is. But then this is the entrance, corner entrance. This is my favorite interior, far and away the most done too, because I actually put books. But then we've got a fireplace, got a nice mantle. This is one of the new paintings. Absolutely gorgina. One thing to note in all of these too is I forced myself to make sure that they all had some form of furnace, because even though some of them can't have fireplaces, they needed some way to be able to get, there's just a bed up here, there's nothing crazy. But they needed some way to be able to get warmth. The ones that don't have fireplaces needed some place to be able to have warmth. And so I went ahead and every single one of them has this type of setup where they have a little bit of a small little chimney thing where they can have a fire. And I believe this one has it on this side. No, it's on this side. It's hidden between these things. So there is also one here. You can indeed see it. It's just a little hidden because of all the foliage. And yeah, so that's that house. And then let's go back here to this house. This is actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. This house has got a little bit bigger of a footprint. And I initially started with stairs on the roof, but it got to being way too tall, started blocking everything from view. And so we shrunk it down the slabs, made it go not that tall. And it's kind of quaint and nice. So we've got just a little bit of flower pots, a little bedroom area, very, very cutesy. Chimney, this one's actually kind of fun, pulls in a good gradient from cobble all the way up to granite and brick and stuff. I think this is a nice transitional piece. And then moving right along to this house, this is one of my favorites because it's so small. It's just literally like 2 blocks wide on the inside, but it's got so much character. Look at how cutesy it is. Isn't it nice? And because this is so small, I thought maybe we need to have some story behind this. So they can't really afford a door, but they also probably can't even really afford like a boat or anything like that. So what they've done is actually, because they're on a dock, they've made a secret little dock area for themselves, and they can have their little mushroom, have a little place for fish storage, and they can go fishing off the edge here. I don't really know what this is. I just put it there for fun, but just a little cutesy little dock, like self-made, really small space. I love it. I like adding little bits like that, and there's one other like that throughout here somewhere, but they've got a little bit of a little canopy thingy here. And then this house is well, this is the last build, but it's all one building, if that makes any sense. So it's actually, if you can kind of tell, it's kind of connected. I don't think I can make, well, I especially can't make it if it's gonna flip open like that. Oh, I did it. Okay, so this is all one build. It's got a little teeny hallway in the middle here. But this is like living quarters, and then this is actually, hey, look at this color palette. Isn't that sick nasty? Look at that. Hay and yellow stripped bamboo blocks. Oh my gosh, give me more of that. But this is, so this is like a little square area, very small, but this is gonna be like the main fish market area. And I think I'm gonna put a farm here of some kind. I'm not sure. I'm putting a farm here because I want to always have to interact with this area to get something that is useful to me. And I'm not sure what that's gonna be, but it's gonna be something good, I bet. This build is actually both a house and a store. So the store is actually a boat rental, and it's a very simple little store. We've got the inner counter area and then just some boats that have either chests or different variants. There's a raft up here. Just a fun little storage area. All I did to make it work like this is they are set on trap doors and then little signs to make it so that you can't actually get them off. You have to pay. You cannot, no free boat rides here. But then when you come in through to the back, this is like getting into the living situation, and it's a very simple abode. It is nothing special. But in order, this person I kind of envision is a little bit of a cheapskate. So the chimney is actually, they just found every single stone related block they could and built it out of that. So it literally has cobble, andesite, diorite, and granite all together. And then they didn't even put up spruce, they put up oak because it was using less wood. They're a real cheapo. But the fun thing about this is because it's a store, I figured it needed some form of storage for some additional materials. So we actually had, this house gave us this tiny little nook area. And initially I was going to put like a dude that was like sleeping here and was like a pauper or whatever and couldn't even afford a house and just was sleeping in this small little covered area. But this is actually a secret little storage area for the store that has additional boats underneath and some extra wood and stuff for building boats or for fire. I don't know. Just fun little bits and bobs here underneath the docks, hidden away that you won't really see from the actual water. But I really love adding little stuff like that. So now we're jumping into building out the fish market. And this is actually a pickle farm that I designed from the ground up. Like, this is 100% designed by me. It's the first time I think I've ever actually done a farm like this that is like a redstone automatic farm and that works. And because of the sea pickles, I went with a sea pickle themed bar type of market. So it's called Pickles Market. I really like how it turned out. It's adds like a social area for the docks. I felt like they needed something to be like the people that live here can kind of come out and hang at the Pickles Market later on. They can sell fish and all that sort of stuff. And then now we're just building up kind of the rest of the houses on the dock. This is an abandoned house, which I really like. Not necessarily abandoned, but like the person is so poor that they can't even fix it up. So it's got a lot of like dilapidated wood and stuff. And I'm really trying to make it so all of these feel kind of unique. So all the roofs are a little bit different. And then this is actually going to be the storage area, and it's going to be a sugarcane farm. The main docks are done. All the houses are done. Everything is done. So thrilled with how all of this has turned out. Just look how beautiful it is, just having a whole bunch of buildings clustered together. So very briefly, just to go through the builds before we get to the main Pickles Market thing. These houses are these new ones are relatively the same, basic interiors and stuff. Very villager-esque, very small. I tried to make it, oh no, I need you. I tried to make it so that the houses all feel unique and different from one another. So some of the roofs and stuff, I wanted to make sure every roof didn't feel like one big giant lump of spruce. And I think overall it's very effective. This house is probably one of my favorites because I am using the mangrove roots to act as like really destroyed, dilapidated, falling apart. And this is like the poorest of the poor type of houses where they can't just take care of it. And it's just got like grass growing in it. There's like this weird mushroom stuff going on. I just think it looks super cool. There is still a bed. We can still sleep, but they can't even afford a door. And you can just like see right in. It just looks so good with the roots. Feels like it's so broken. I love it. And then this house didn't have an interior, but it has an interior now, and it's very small and quaint. I don't have any books in the bookshelves aside from our main house that I prefer, but we'll get that done. Don't you worry. And now, so this is what this side looks like. Obviously, we have not done any of the primary decor of like barrels and things all over the place. I have ideas for it, but I'm gonna do that as a final pass through the entire town to do all the tiny little bits and bobs to really bring it all to life. So then this is another new house here, looking good. Jungle on a diagonal, and then a little tiny bedroom here. Every single house has interiors done, and that was something I desperately wanted to do. Oh yeah, this one does have another entrance. But here comes the main view. So we got our boat shop here. And then you come around the corner to Pickles Market. Oh, I love how it looks. I think it's so good. Now, I don't know if this is bamboo or if this is pickles, but I figured this is maybe the boat storage type of dealio being stored out here. But look at this. So the original plan, as I mentioned in the time lapse, I don't know what all I talked about because I haven't yet recorded the actual like edited version of it. But the main idea of this was to be able to hold our pickle farm, sea pickle farm, and then it just kind of one thing led to another, and we made Pickles Market. And I gotta say, I really love the aesthetic of it. It's better than I even thought it was going to be. Like, this pickle farm, I am so proud of how it turned out. Because look at this giant pickle. Doesn't it look great? But then also the fact that this is like this condensed and fits in here and works perfectly fine. I mean, like, we literally just have to interact with Pickles Market by flipping this switch. Yes, that happens. Those doors open. But then we got pickles coming in hot. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And look how fast they come in. And of course, we do have an additional sign that I put out here. I did not include in the time lapse. Another Pickles Market, and then this has a fun little. This was a misstep on my part in that I thought I counted correctly, but then I didn't, and so they didn't have the area for the S, so they just tacked a sign on, and I just thought that was kind of funny that they're like, oh nuts, we don't have enough room. Okay, well, pickles it is, and I absolutely love how this turned out. It's a different type of roof too, going with some more red and orange tones. I think it really makes it stand out from everything, and it's not too tall. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bit too tall, but it's really not. It feels quite correct, I think, for what it is, and I think I love it. I think it's so good. Now, the pièce de résistance of the build is, well, not really. Pickles Market really steals the show of this place, but we've got our little, I don't know what to dub this. It's kind of just like the main storage area for any goods and services that get brought in by boats. But this is what we've got, and I've turned it into a sugarcane farm. And this is some of the stuff that I'm just like, I want to have little things to make us have to come back to this area. And this, you're going to experience it right now. Look at how great it is to be able to go into an interior, see it's fully done, and take a nap. Oh, that's so good. I love, like, doing interiors does take time and takes a lot of effort and brain power, but it's so worth it when you actually are forced to like interact with your build and have to like go to bed, and you actually are like going to bed in a house that's completed. It's just got like a certain aesthetic to it that's just so nice. Now this build is basically done. It's got a little bit of an open type of roof sort of thing, so it's not really meant to be super protected from the elements. Like the central part is not protected, but the shelves and stuff, maybe they are. But and you heard the sugarcane farm activated there. Just a very, very simple design. I can't even access back here, but very, very simple design, automatic farm sort of dealio with just observers and stuff. There's only 6, so it's not going to be like crazy. I didn't want it to be like a crazy farm, but just while we're in the area, it's going to be working and slowly building up sugarcane. I think that's really nice. This is not a completed section, but using the white wood here, we're going to be putting in some ice and stuff to make it sort of like a fish cooling room storage area. And then the sugarcane, as mentioned, it's kind of like paper wrapping is the idea, but it's going to be the paper for our rockets, obviously. Okay, so that is the docks in itself completely done. Now, you might be saying to yourself, something seems to be missing. Well, look at all these empty areas where boats should go. Let's fix that. So you probably noticed this guy here. Yeah, this is going to be the beginnings of our very first boat. And I have actually come up with, I want to say 6 different designs, and I really love them. And the thing is, the boats are only going to be, I don't want them to be any bigger than this, because any bigger than this, you kind of get like into the larger fishing ships, and this is just not big enough of a lake to warrant that, I don't think. If we had an ocean area that nearby, like we have the ocean over there, so maybe we'll build a village with like a big port and stuff there, but for this area, this is not really going to warrant it. So this is just like small fishing boats. And in order for us to do this, I figured I will build up most of these in time lapse and talk to you about kind of what the aesthetic is. But let's do this one together, I thought. Now, to get started, good fishing boats need to have entrances. So that is what the ladders are for. And then this is what the base looks like, just so you're aware. It's pretty much just stairs going down and then slabs at the bottom to give it a rounded look. And that's it. There you go. You're all caught up. And now I am gonna, this is a little bit of a tricky build to have to do because you have to, I hate the stupid, like, your elytra nonsense that when you go into fly mode and then you get stuck in fly mode. It's dumb. I don't like it. All right, so like that is the base of it, and then get that 2 stairs here, and then we'll repeat that here. All right, so now we've got stairs mirrored on either side, and then we want, this is where the rudder action takes place, so we want to do that, and then that's kind of like, you can steer the rudder via standing right here. You can kind of steer that little rudder guy down there. All right, trap doors all along the sides here so that when we flip up these spruce ones, we have a fully enclosed boat. So some dark oak there. We'll put a dark oak there. And lastly, dark oak right there. And now this needs a slab like that. There needs to be a slab right there, and bada bing, bada boom, we have a fully enclosed boat now. Let's see how it's taking shape. Looking good, looking good. Now, the cauldrons are a little messy. We don't want to be stepping in those. Probably twist an ankle, knowing my luck. And now comes the fun part of making the mast. And the mast is pretty straightforward, honestly. It's just a straight stick up. We add in a couple little bits and bobs here. So the front, this is the butt. So the front goes this way. So we're going to add a little wall there for now. And then we continue our wallage up. And we're reaching the top, which is going to be interesting. I think I do have to actually modify this build ever so slightly, because there's not enough room. So there's supposed to be a fence gate or a fence block that goes here. Fence post that goes here, but because this trapdoor is here, I don't want it to look like it's connecting, so we're going to ignore that and move probably the sail down by a block, and I think that'll be fine. Now, we did this little guy because a bell goes right there, and now comes the interesting part of how do you do the sail. And this is something that I did see, I've seen a few different builders do it like this before, but the most recent was, again, Flip, as per the usual. He's really the only Minecraft dude that I watch at this point. I don't really pay that close attention to anybody else anymore, but I have just kind of observed that he, instead of trying to do like wool and stuff and do that, it's a lot easier to show furled sails using slabs. And I gotta say, it's a lot more effective. It feels like it's actually like a legitimately furled sail. And lastly is that. So there we go. Perfect. Our boat is essentially complete. It is only missing one thing, and this is something that I thought was a kind of a fun little trick slash maybe a little bit of a lore thingy, where I included this wall because I want to put a pot here and a closed eye blossom here, and then I also want to put one here on the front, I think, and possibly one on the back might be good. The one on the back actually makes more sense, I think, than here. So the idea with the closed eye blossoms is, I think this is going to be a little navigational trick that the village has stumbled across, where they have these closed eye blossoms that at night they open up and they almost glow, and so it's almost like on most public lakes, you're kind of required, usually by the whatever HOA or whatever of the lake, that you have to have some form of light on to indicate where you are and let other boaters know where you are. And I thought the closed eye blossom can function as that, because it's only at night that it opens up. And I thought that it would be a kind of a cool aesthetic if we have a few different boats dotted around, where if it gets dark enough, all of the closed eye blossoms open up and you can kind of see out over the lake, and you see all these boats with the eye blossoms out, so you can actually see where they are. Isn't that a fun little idea? But there we go. This is now this build entirely done, except for the little ice storage and the fact that I stole some dark oak stairs because I lost the other two, but that's fine. But look at, oh, this is so good. This is having a boat in here now really does make this feel complete. I'm super thrilled with it. Let's go build some more. I've not done a lot of boat designs before, but I really had a fun time doing these. This one in particular is supposed to be kind of like a foreign boat to show that it's like from somewhere else, so that this place feels a little bit more like a trade center. But we then do get into some regular boat designs. Like this one is going to be more just like standard boat. The next one is actually really fun. It's kind of like a steam powered one that is for the Pickles Market area. I wanted this one in particular. I wanted it to be like they can go around and sell pickle based products around the lake. And so there's going to be this one that's at the dock that's like restocking or something. And then there's going to be another one we're going to build out on the lake at some point that's like looks like it's actually kind of moving about and stuff. I just kind of repeat the boat design, just change out the materials after this. So it's not anything too particularly crazy or anything like that. Oh yeah, with the boats in, that is looking very, very nice. I am loving it. I know I keep showing this map, but it's something that I just have been enjoying so much every time I go and update it, just to see the progress be made. And the nice thing is the entire dockside now 100% done, outside of needing to do like the minor bits and bobs decoration stuff. We did that for the Pickles Market area because it seemed to flesh out the build enough. But we are going to do a pass where we go and add little barrels and things around. But oh, look at this. Ignore my shoulders. I brought them over here because I was tired of flying over there. But ooh, it's looking good. And you see all the boats lined up here. And I tried to do all different types of boats. Ooh, I'm really quite a big fan of it. I think that there are just enough to make it feel like a really thriving fishing village. And my goal with this too, you might be thinking like, man, there's a lot of boats. Well, there's going to be a few more out on the lake as well. And there's the other side of the village that are going to have some. But my goal, and the reason why I wanted to have so many, is to indicate essentially that there's more boats and fishing things going on here than there are people in the town, so that it looks like it is a kind of a thriving trading-esque area, which will then warrant our inn build to be the size that it is. So now that leaves the mainland of the island to get finished, because the docks are entirely done. And honestly, the docks were going to be the absolute biggest part, because there's land that we can work on here. We don't have to build up the actual floor, which is nice. Now I've already started on this build here. I wanted to do a red-esque build, and I'm experimenting around with using netherrack because we have mangrove wood. Netherrack actually goes really, really well with the color of it. So adding in some little red terracotta for a lighter bit, making it kind of fade into this more bricky-esque color. And I think this one's going to be good, but I've been taking some time for the rest of the builds to expedite the process, hopefully, and laying out a color palette for every single build. And so we're going to have this sort of like oak granite-esque texture. This one is a variety of things. I'm leaning towards this texture, which is that corner house build. I really like that texture combination, so I think it looks really nice. But we could use this as well. I may move this to the back there. I don't know. Or I might do a combo, since these houses here are all bigger because they're also containing shops. And this is a process that I'm really trying to do just to help me not have to think that hard about like, oh, what blocks should I gather up? Because I think picking out the color palettes itself and figuring out how to make it all cohesive and looking good together takes a lot of time. Honestly, it takes a lot of time to really take up this amount of builds and plan it out. And so I wanted to kind of take that away from the recording process, because it's not that interesting. It's not that interesting, honestly. But yeah, so these are all the ones. This is kind of a different palette. I'm gonna really try to freaking use this cherry blossom log block, because I can't figure out how to use it properly. And granite, you can see like it's got that little bit of darkish purpley, and I think it ties in. So I mean, look at that. Yeah, that's like the same texture bleeding over onto it. So that's I don't know about that build. It might not work out. The good news is, well, I lied. I was going to say the good news is this dock is not nearly as big, but it's not nearly as big, but it's as it goes the same length. Why did I do this to myself? Okay, I think we're gonna try to do these houses here, probably even including the stables, because the stables are not gonna be that crazy of a build to do. It just needs to have a roof and areas for horses to go. This is the build palette we're kind of working with. I'm thinking this sort of stuff for the walls, and then maybe a granite-esque roof. So let's get the build. Building little houses is so much fun. I think it's such a good project to do, just like single story villages, because you can add so much variety to them and make them just all feel like so unique. I don't know, it's great. Alrighty, I know I am doing a lot of this in replay mod, and I am sorry about that. It's just in order to get this done, I'm kind of having to do that, and it's taken me a long time to be able to build. And I don't want to stop progressing, or else this video just won't get done in a good amount of time. And by good amount of time, I mean it's probably going to take me another like a week and a half to 2 weeks, and then I have to edit the video. So it might be 3 weeks or so before I actually can get this video out, which I have accepted and I am fine with. Now for this one, I did go ahead and add the granite style roof, and I actually really like how this one turned out. I think it looks really nice. Now I did build this as well, as you saw. This is just a granite house, and I started doing like a brown gradient from granite. And so I was trying to take what I really liked how I actually approached this, doing like the lighter side and then it transitioning into a darker side, then going back to light. I really liked that. So I kind of did that with this one as well. The gradient goes from terracotta into this mud brick brown, and kind of starts to go up into the spruce colors. And I don't know, I think it's fun. I'm having a good time just like not caring that much about what the materials are. These builds, I was really specific on, I want to use all the woods and only the woods because they're on a dock and they're lighter. But these builds, we're gonna go ham and use things that we don't normally use, like rooted dirt. One additional note that I am going to do is some of these areas, if we go into this little debug screen, you can see the biome is stony shore. But if we transition over to here, it goes to old growth birch forest, and the grass becomes much nicer colored. We are going to be changing out all of the stony shore grass for moss where applicable, because it looks so much better and alive. And I know there's no grass on this currently, but eventually we'll start putting like tall grass and stuff on this, and it'll feel a lot better. This is also going to be like garden and stuff, so it doesn't necessarily have to even be grass. It can be dirt and that, but I just don't like this color of grass for this area. I don't like that there's a gradient in the middle of the town, and this is the main way I think I can fix it, is by just including moss. Now, this is the build that we're going to focus on now, and that's mainly because most of the materials for that granite house are also in this house. So we're going to be doing this, and this is going to be the stables. Now, as we're doing this, I'm trying to think of how this is going to be interacting with this watery area, and it's going to be getting fairly wet. So to indicate that, I think it'd be good if we introduced some of the tough wetness and the mossy brick to be able to start indicating that, hey, this is going to be quite the messy, slimy gooiness down here, and I think that'll help make it feel a real nice. But I want mainly just this corner to be tough, and then the rest to be stone bricks, as if it's like the stone bricks are really gooey here, and then the rest of it is actually not too bad. What if we had like a really, all right, this has to go. Okay, we'll leave you here because I want to be able to, nope, we're gonna get rid of you. All right, it's terracotta, spruce, and whatever. But what if this area that doesn't have, like, the bricks are here, so we'll just not pair it with that. But what if we did this? Yeah, I think that works pretty decently. Maybe if we do this, it just shows like, I mainly just want to show dirtiness. That's like what I'm trying to do here, because wherever there's grass should be moss, wherever there's dirt there should be some muddy brickness going on, just to indicate that the bricks have gotten muddy. We could even honestly throw in like some patches where some spruce wood has to be done, because I don't know, maybe the bricks fell apart and they've patched the hole up. I think that could look kind of interesting if we just chuck it in there where it's needed. Maybe not on the corners because that's kind of foundational, but maybe on these edges here. Yeah, I think this is a good color palette. This is a good, I think this is a great foundation for the rest of the build. Yeah, I think that is going to be fine. I'm going to have to re-put that down, but that's fine. But what I'm thinking is I think we could do like planters almost, where we have the dark oak, stripped dark oak stick out here. And then because this is not going to be really anything, maybe a little storage or something like that, we could put just some... I need my crafting table. But if we do like stairs here on either side like that, do that, slabby, slabby, and then trapdoor, 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 and then we could put some dirt up here. Doesn't really matter what type of dirt we put. Do we have any regular dirt in this? Yeah, good. But we can do dirt. I might change it to podzol because I prefer my planters to have podzol. But then planters here, so it's just very, very lush and green, kind of covering up this blankness of a wall because there's no windows. And then we'll have the roof up there. I don't, frankly, know what type of roof we're going to be doing. So now, looking at the roof, looking into the roof, I think what we could do to be really interesting is I feel like we should extend this section up so that it matches the cadence of block up. We only got one more here, so then block up, and then we bring this up even further. I think that would be good, and then this could be up even further. It's like a really aggressive tall build, but I think it could work. It's like a really over-the-top big build in comparison to everything else, but what I'm thinking of doing is making it so this is owned by the person that owns the inn, and the inn is also going to be big. And the reason these two things need to be big is because of how frequent people are traveling and coming to this area. So they need plenty of space to be able to put things. Now, this doesn't have lots of room for horses exactly, but maybe we do something cool where we connect this up to this with like a little arch bridge thing. Ooh, I like that. I like where my head's going, guys. All right, after some building, there is what the stables slash inn is looking like. Definitely a much bigger footprint build than the rest of these, probably about the size of the market, honestly. I really love how it turned out. Initially I had, this is like a mixture of sand and mushroom block. The internal texture, if you don't know or anything, like you don't ever build with it, you can like place a mushroom block on the side and then you get a new texture. And you can do that on all 6 sides. So that's how you get that texture if you didn't know, but I'm assuming most of you do. Initially I had just the brown texture of the mushroom block on the internal portion here, and I just didn't, I don't know, it seemed too flat. And so then I had this kind of thought of, I really think that doing just like a spruce and then spruce, strip spruce and then oak would look really kind of rustic and nice. This is what the tunnel is kind of like. Very simple. I didn't go too crazy with it or anything like that. I also realized when I was building this that I'd completely, there's a little balcony on this side as well for people to come out. I'm entirely out of flowers as well, so I need to go and get some azure bluets. I have no idea where my train of thought was, so let's go look at the inside of the stables, because I haven't done the inside of the actual inn portion. So you get over here, and then you can just walk right in, and I have not replaced the ground. I'm just going to put coarse dirt. I don't think I'm going to even really texture it that much. Maybe some hay on the ground, but these are pretty tight quarters for the horses, so I think the goal is you're not staying here, like, lots of time. But I think it's good. I think it makes it so it's like a nice quick little pit stop area. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. So Yeah, I think it's nice. So it's really very, very basic. I just continued the stone exterior and brought it in here to make up the walls, and it's a simple little stable, but I think it's effective. And the fun thing is, like, from angles like this, you still see it because it's so tall in comparison to everything else. So the goal is to have more builds like this to where you're just like seeing them. There's a trader. Do you have small drip leaf? No. I think it would make sense to make the inn a sort of 4-ish story building to where it's 3 stories above ground and then a basement. And the basement, I want to include some form of farm. That's something that I'm trying to include more and more into this world. I think that having little bits and bobs that make us come back, like the pickle farm, the sugarcane is here. We'll have whatever this farm is. One of these shops, I do want to do a farm in as well. And it's going to be one where I actually have to come and interact and kind of like chillax for a moment, because then that'll make everything else kind of run and function. I think that will be good. Now, speaking of these shops, we're going to skip the inn for right now because I don't have any idea what I want it to look like, and I don't want to continue building on this section here. I'm kind of tired of this for now, so let's move on to the shops. This first shop, I actually don't have a shop for. I built it thinking maybe you guys could give a suggestion for what to put. So the entire second and third floor are going to be totally done on the interior, but the bottom floor, I don't have anything. So if you have any shop ideas, let me know. This one that we're building currently is the blacksmith. One of my favorite builds, and I love how it turned out. I think it's super cool because I started to do this like white top, and then I was like, actually, let's make it so it's like dark themed at the bottom, because maybe all the smoke and stuff is like staining the roof and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of cool. I like it. This blue one is super fun. It's kind of an enchanting area. We needed a place for our enchanting setup, and so this is like a fortune telling type of place. And then this red one is a pottery type of shop. I don't know exactly. I wanted this left and right one, the red one, and then this green one we're building, to be like a husband-wife duo. So the green one is like a plant shop, and then the pottery shop ties in together where you can buy the plant and then get a pot right next door. I thought that was kind of a fun aesthetic, and then it just was a fun combo to do. The plant shop might be my favorite just because we build up the build and then we decide to do this patio area outside that has all these like outdoor plants. And I don't know, I think it adds such a fun aesthetic. All right, we have all of the shops in. So like I kind of said in the time lapse, or if I didn't, then I'm saying it now. I got sick for a week and a half. I still have a tiny little catch in my throat every now and again, so I may occasionally have to pause and do that. That's okay, but that's why I went ahead and just built up all the shops. So briefly, this is the only one that doesn't have anything. I'm gonna put a little garden thingy up front here. That's why there's grass, and then have like a little like pathway going this way. This is the only one that does not have the shop in. The upstairs is entirely done, so we've got a nice little living situation here. This is as much decor as I felt like putting in. And then we've kind of got like a little extra storage space, and then the sleeping arrangement here. So interior is all done. Need some books and stuff for the bookshelves, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. Nice little window here. And overall, I think it's turned out very nice. But I do need a shop idea for this area right here. So I don't really care what type of shop goes here. We've got nothing here. Then there's an sort of fortune telling, enchanting, blacksmith, pottery shop, and then a flower shop. So something that could fit into this fishing area. Doesn't have to be anything too particularly interesting or crazy, but something that'll fit in would be useful. So if you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments below. The enchanter, I really like how this turned out, because when you actually kind of go around and you like I wanted it to be like you're coming around, you see normal building, and then you see a pop of color. And I like how it's set back. And from this angle, you can't see it. All you see is really this build and then the other builds that are sticking out here, but you don't really see it. And that is purposeful because I didn't want it to detract or to like attract too much attention to it. So I decided to go ahead and just push it back a couple blocks, and I think that actually really helps. It makes it feel like it was kind of like tucked away, and I think it's really useful. So this does not have an upstairs, just has this interior here with a whole bunch of books, and it's supposed to feel really magical. And so the idea of this is that the fortune teller draws her power from like the earth, and this was a way for us to be able to have the enchanting station kind of tucked away out of the way, but then also be able to have this kind of like interesting bottom area that's like all foliagey, foliagey. And so we can have our lapis, our cutting stone thingamajiggy, and then just have some really green, interesting stuff. I just wanted it to feel kind of whimsical and magical. And then we've got the blacksmith, which I really love. So we went with a dark palette here, and the idea and the main reason why I did this was because there's probably soot and kind of charcoal drifting around, and it's stained the wood. Is like what I'm thinking. So it kind of transitions into spruce as it goes up, and most of the soot and stuff sticks to this lower level. And the blacksmith, he's a single dude. I don't know if he's a widow or what, but he's a single dude as of now, and he's kind of just like tired of having to try to clean his house. So he just committed to black stucco so that it blended in with the charcoal and stuff. And I think it's kind of a funny. He'll occasionally clean these, and that's why there's a couple white ones, but overall, they're usually pretty dirty. I just think that's kind of a funny detail. But this is very heavily inspired by Fable 2. The Fable 2 Bowerstone Blacksmith has an open lower level like this. And so instead of having a wall, you just walk in. I made this little canopy so people can be out of the rain for the most part when they are ordering and stuff. But this is about as far as they go. He's got all of this like working station, got a little ledger and stuff. Cooling little water bucket area. This is also a cooling station, some tool racks, and look at this fun detail. If you put resin above like glow mushroom thingies or resin blocks, it kind of looks like sparking little bits, like little crackling bits of fire or whatever. And I think that's such a fun little detail. I learned that from Pixel Riffs, I believe, on their podcast, the Spawn Chugs podcast. So I think that's just a fun detail that he said, and I wanted to try it out. And it's pretty effective, honestly. So corner little furnace, and then I was gonna put a light here, but I think I'm just gonna leave the chains. And then some wood storage, and then upstairs, what we've got here is just storage. So also very heavily inspired by Fable 2. The second story of that blacksmith only has a bed, and then it's like all storage. And so I thought this dude being single doesn't necessarily need to have like a big living space, so he's just committed to having a whole bunch of storage down here for all of his materials. This is probably one of the best businesses in town, doing the best. And I'm committing to doing just full block staircases in a lot of ways, because it's just a lot easier to build, and I don't really care about having to jump. I think it's fine. Upstairs here, we've got a gigantor bed. This dude sleeps like a king, and whether that's because he used to be married and had a big bed, or because he does really well, who knows. But it is definitely getting dark, right? Yeah, it's definitely getting dark. Let me sleep. But he's got just like a little dining area, a little cooking station, a knife or something. And then because he's a handyman, he made this little third floor patio thing that's right above here, so he can just kind of chill out and enjoy his town. And then we get into the corner builds, which I was gonna do these in person with you, but then kind of had to because I was sick, just kept plugging away and did it in the time lapse as well. So sorry, there's so much time lapsing happening, but I need to fix that. That's not supposed to be out like that. There we go. Wait, it needs to go one more. There we go. Nice and even. And like I said in the time lapse, this is the pottery shop, and then also the flower shop and flower plant shop, and it's kind of a husband-wife duo. So this is a much smaller build, and that's kind of purposeful to give us a little bit of a fun sort of like big, semi-smaller, big, much smaller. And they don't need a living situation in this one, so they don't have as big of a build. But this is just very simple little pottery shop. Not really much room in here, but the idea is there's just a whole bunch of pots for you to be able to look at. We need to find some pottery sherds, because these are all pretty boring and plain, and I'm sure they wouldn't sell that well because they're boring and plain. I like them, but I don't know if other people would, but this is supposed to be like the pottery wheel, where this sort of somehow turns it. I'm not really sure, and he just sits here and does the pottery things. In the back here, we do have a kiln, and so there's a pot. This is supposed to be waxed, and supposed to look like it's really warm because it's red hot. But this is where he fires the pots and stuff. Oh, and the blacksmith does indeed have like this chimney thing for his forge because it gets so hot, so he has this big old chimney looking thing sticking out. The back sides are all done as well. They're pretty much mirrors of the front sides, but they are done. But yeah, so this is the kiln, and one of the things that I think I'm gonna have to do, probably not this episode but maybe next, is kind of rework this to where there's gonna be some form of like, maybe there's going to be a staircase, or maybe we get rid of this and put like a cellar door here and put a big basement down, because I want to put a farm underneath the flower shop area. And this guy, there's no shot that that kiln in the back, this only fits baby pots. So there's no shot that a big pot would fit in there. So we need to figure out how to build a bigger kiln for him that could be used to fire these bigger pots. So I think what I'm going to do is put a cellar door in the back, tear down that kiln and put a cellar door, and then build a basement that has a farm underneath that I'll tell you about next episode, but has a farm underneath, and then also aesthetically has a couple big kilns that he can put in big or small pots instead of just that one random small one. But for now, the small one works. Now the flower shop, and I really do love the flower shop. I think it's probably, the blacksmith is my favorite. This is my second favorite, and this is the only one using glass, and that's mainly because I couldn't find a trapdoor that I liked the aesthetic of, and then I liked how it interplayed with walls, and we could get some extra depth into the build for fun. So we've got this kind of fun terracotta copper mixture that blends really well into mossy stone brick and then green terracotta. Ends up looking really nice. So on the inside here, very green and overgrown. There's a little bit of a walkway there we'll take a look at in a sec, but a bunch of different plants, big pots trying to do like bigger shrubbery type things, some cactuses, just every little plant that you could possibly think of. Lots of shelves, lots of light as well, big windows, all sorts of goodies. And I really, really like how it's turned out. But then the fun thing is, if you go in the back here, you've got this fun area. So I decided we needed something fun in this back area just to give us a little bit. We had this like weird open space. I was like, I don't want to put like a tree, but I guess we could put something. And I decided to put some storage for his kiln related stuff. So a lot of wooden stuff to burn. But then also this gives us extra space for even more plants and shrubs and stuff. And I think that's really nice. It makes it so I feel like every landscaping place I go to, in the US at least, has like this outdoor area with a whole bunch of additional plants than what's like on the inside. And I think that's really nice, so that you can wander around and get access to a lot of additional plants and things. I think it's fun. I really like it. Now there is that walkway that's up above, and this is how you get to their living situation. So you this is going to be the inn. It's going to go right on up. It's going to probably be taller, definitely going to be taller. It's going to probably be about that height. It's going to be taller than this build, so it'll just be crammed between these walls here, and then you can access. I think I'm going to put like an access point here at this level, or whatever level we've got, so maybe even like here, and then we can access either the inn or access their house, and that'll be nice. So then you can have a little entrance here, walkway to get up to their living situation, and then we've got like a little kitchen with a little fire area, table and stuff. This is where their bed is. I'm gonna put a painting here. I just don't know what painting. And then they also have a little balcony here. Now, real briefly, some things I've been working on. So this house originally ended here, and then there was this like red roof one here, and I just did not know what to do with it. So what I ended up doing is deciding I'm gonna get rid of this red house. I hated every angle possible on it, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So this house, I just built this little bit of an extension, and used a little bit of different materials to show that like this is an addition. We need to put a door on it, obviously. But I like a little bit of an addition. Maybe we'll put a fireplace or something like that here, or maybe we'll put a fireplace over on this side. I'm not really sure exactly yet. But this is an indicator for a tree. So I do want to do a couple custom trees around to add some flair, because this place obviously is missing a lot of plant life. So I think this is going to be ending up just like a nice natural green space with a big tree, and then maybe there's market stalls that kind of park along this edge here, so that when your first entrance here, you're greeted with like a big tree, and then you see some houses, maybe if the fireplace is right here or something, or like on this edge, or I don't know. But then you kind of come in here and you get like this full view of the town. I think this is going to start looking really, really nice, especially when we get all the little bits and bobs in. Now, last thing that I need to talk through briefly before I get into some major building. So I have already started working on building up these houses. So these are just going to be just like the houses over on the other dock, just going to be small, wooden based, and I've already got the color palettes kind of laid out here. This corner build is going to be the most interesting of builds. I'm not sure about this color palette. This is a possible color palette. I may end up hating it. I don't know. But we're going to be reworking this whole dock here. So right now, this is set up like the docks over yonder, because it's got all these like smaller ports, and we're going to be eliminating a lot of them. So like this guy, this has to go. We got to get rid of all of these little ones and have some bigger sections here. All right, I'm rambling. So the primary purpose of this is to address bigger boats. Over here, we've got a bunch of smaller boats, and even though they're small, they still are relatively high, but this is about the height that I want this bridge to be. So if we take a look-see here, there's probably going to be about a height of like right here or so, and that is as tall as this bridge is going to go. So if we're going to have that, now we might be able to go a little higher, but even if we go a little higher, there's still going to be some boats that are too tall. The town would want as many boats as they could get to stop here and trade with them. Now, how does that influence this build? Well, I was then also thinking, where do they put their crap? They've got the big storage guy over there. Where do they put their boat, their stuff, like cargo and stuff, if they want it? So this is going to be a twofold build. So the lower level here, we're going to have a lower entrance here, and that is going to be pure storage, like warehouse storage. And it's a big enough build, I think we can have a decent amount of storage here. And so we're going to have pure warehouse storage underneath this build. And then on the top, it's going to be an interesting build of a carriage rental. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So we can have like a carriage parked out here, or we can like mess with the landscape here, so maybe it goes down or something like that, where there is a carriage parked here, a small little bit of stables maybe sticking out like in here, so a couple of horses, and then yeah, they can just have a carriage rental here. And then that is a way for people that are traveling to be able to make it to the city quicker to do their trading and come back. Oh, okay, that was a lot of talking. I need to do a lot of building, and I know we've already done a lot of time lapse, but I kind of just need to get cracking and get this out, because Emma and I go on vacation here in 5 days. So I'm not going to be able to have this edited, I'm almost positive, but I could have it finished in terms of build. So I'm just going to get into doing a lot of building. Okie dokie, it's been quite a while since I last recorded and did all this. The video is getting long enough, and I've just started doing the editing of everything together that I've decided I'm gonna wrap it up. And instead of doing a time lapse of all this stuff, I figured I'd just walk you through the whole town here at the end. It's probably gonna be a bit of a long walkthrough because there's a lot of stuff to go through, but I think you guys are gonna enjoy every single little thing. So I wanted to just give it its own time and stop doing time lapses, because I'll be honest, I was kind of tired of putting together time lapses. So this is the full complete village. Trees, everything is in place. Market stalls, wagons, horses. The only thing currently that we do actually need to do is this one last thing, and I gotta figure out, there it is, the sniffer egg. So while we walk through, we're gonna go this way because this is where the sniffer egg goes. But starting off here, so this is where the main bridge obviously is going to be, and eventually we'll figure out how to connect it up. I didn't really decorate down here because I don't figure this is probably also going to change and stuff. So we'll figure it out. But as you enter, you've got two kind of market stalls that are set up. This is kind of meant to be just like a kind of almost junk salesperson, to where they just sell knickknacks and stuff. And it's almost like as you leave or enter, you can buy a knickknack to remember the town by. And I thought it was kind of just like a little bit of an interesting thing. Also a good place to be able to put an ender chest, just because he has it and he can sell it for something. And then this is kind of fun. So we've got this fruit tree here, this fruit tree archway, and I decided, what if kids made this like little orange juice stand or whatever, this glowing fruit stand that makes juice, so that as you're coming in, you can get a refreshment. And I thought that was a really fun little idea. Just, that's not actually a market stall. It's like a thing for kids, but you know, I thought it was kind of cool. This wagon design, I really like how this has turned out. So this is meant to be, I wanted something that made it feel like this, like somebody was coming through here and going to the city, but it needed to make sense for what, like they're transporting something that isn't here in the town. And if you look over yonder, there is the bamboo forest all the way over there. And so I thought, what if they're coming from all the way over there, transporting this into the town, and there's someone that takes bamboo or like a log cutting or something like that, and so they're transporting the bamboo to them. I thought that would be such a fun idea. And this also serves a dual purpose of, I don't like how this house looks, so we're covering it up and you can't really ever see it. But before we go under the tree arch, I want to show you this. So this is a wagon rental type of area. Maybe not rental, but like a wagon service to take you back and forth from the main city to this island. And so people can, as they get here, if they have, like they come by boat and they have to trade or something like that, and they want to go into town, but they don't have like a horse or caravan or anything like that. As I was playing and building this up, I was playing a lot of Dragon's Dogma 2 again. And this is like a replica of the wagon that they use. So you've got like your primary sitting area, and then you, like, multiple people can obviously sit. You might be wondering, why is the horse there? Is there not going to be a horse here? No, this is not going to have a horse. This is going to have a sniffer. Oh, I already put this down. I'm a little afraid that the sniffer might die if they spawn there. So, but this is where the sniffer comes into play. So it took a while to find a sniffer egg, but the sniffer is actually going to be the main thing that would pull this, because in Dragon's Dogma, it's called an oxen cart. And so they have a big old oxen that pulls this, pulls their wagon. And I thought, well, the only big oxen type thing in Minecraft is the sniffer. And so I thought that was kind of a fun thing that we could throw in. So hopefully by the end of all this, we have a sniffer here that we can either lead out or we can just leave in the pen. All of the docks on this side are good. This has just some like benches for waiting if you have to wait for the caravan. And then back here, just some additional storage and stuff, because on top of this, or this is on top of what will be the final like storage place for this side of the docks. And like the other docks, fully textured out and stuff, looking really nice. But this one, actually, you'll notice these are like significantly larger spaces than the other side. That is because this side of the docks, I decided, so we've got, if we go into the little flyhead thing here, we've got our small boats and stuff here that we've built up. And I started thinking, well, if the bridge is only going to be like this tall to allow those small boats through, how do bigger boats interact with this town? And what I kind of came to was, we need spots for big boats to be able to park and interact with the town without having to, you know, like go into the lake. And so this is the solution. This is the side of the town where big boats can kind of park, interact with, and they've got their own storage unit and stuff here. And so we're going to have some bigger trading vessels here that connect up to the ocean over that way, because there's going to be a bridge there. This is the only connection, but it'll work out. I think it'll actually like end up looking really, really good. And then as we're back up here, I do have all of the kind of like landscaping and stuff done. We got a fun little well design, and this is just small little dinky well. I figured, even if they are on a like freshwater lake, probably better to have a well, probably a cleaner solution. All of the houses are done here as well. Obviously no interiors, but as I said, landscaping's all done, looking great. All of the dock decoration is good. I actually did all of the, I forgot I did all of the exteriors on this, so that's all looking very, very nice. And there, I haven't fully completed it, but this is what the underside will look like all the way down. I just started running out of some different grass and ferns and stuff, so I will be completing that off camera at some point. But this is the look and feel of what all of it's going to be like, and we're going to be putting a bunch of the azalea leaves and stuff within the water as well, just like over that way. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. But okay, let's get into the main part of the town, because that's where the meat and potatoes are. So walking through here, first we've got this kind of like tree archway. I felt like we needed something to make it so that it feels like an entrance. Like it kind of mirrors, if you'll notice, it kind of mirrors the archway over that way. And so the idea was that you kind of have this like open space a little bit here where you get to see some things in the distance, and then you get like framed in to this smaller viewpoint to then just be revealed to the inn and the town square area. So I thought that was kind of fun, and it made it so that we could do like a unique tree design and also make it like a fruit tree for like the little fruit stand. Something you'll also notice is I did indeed do a lot of custom trees, and I really like doing these custom trees. So something that's helped me is if we go into my creative world, if we fly on over here, you'll see a big giant grid. The idea of it is I wanted a space to be able to just build out kind of like a library of different tree types. So this whole row, I think, is just going to be like these different birch tree designs. So we've got this smaller birch tree that kind of propagates from the center block here into 3 different little branching areas. And this is supposed to be, these are like portrayed off of, this one in particular is kind of taken inspiration from riverside birches, or river birches, I guess. And then we've got these, which do the same thing, but start from one main trunk and go out. And then this is more of a leaning one. I wanted one that could be put up against buildings and feel like it actually naturally fit there. So we kind of have this like flat line here of like something blocking its growth, so it grows out away from it. And then one that is straight up and down that is a little bit taller. And a lot of these things I may end up in like a year feeling like I don't like the look of these trees, but for now it's a good growing pattern thing for me to be able to build up some creative world trees that I can then use with Lightmatica to build in survival. So it just makes it a lot easier to templatize it and make it so I can just see what I'm building. Survival tree building is the reason why I've never done it is really that much is because the planning process is so obnoxious when you want to get the tree really right, or at least how I feel it should be. But doing that has made it so much easier for me to build these custom trees and make them feel the way that I want them to feel, because I had these areas where I was like, I want a grove of trees here, but I don't know exactly how to do it, and Minecraft trees are not gonna cut it. So it's gonna be a learning process, but hopefully you guys are at least enjoying the fact that we're actually doing custom trees now, which is fun. I'm having a good time doing it and learning a good amount. So this beach area, I always figured was going to be kind of like a fishmonger's type of area where they are storing fish, drying fish, whatever they may be doing here. So they've got kind of like a drying rack or smoking rack type of thing, some raw fish in a barrel, and then some different water, some fish kind of block hanging up, some thick fishes, more fish in a barrel and stuff. Just something that I think this is also inspired from Dragon's Dogma, because I just never realized how many games have these type of things on beaches in like medieval times. They have just like, they would catch a lot of fish and dry them on the beach right there. And so I felt like this was fitting. So this definitely is reminiscent of Dragon's Dogma 1 in particular, is the beach that I'm mainly thinking of. I thought it fit this area well. I was going to do like a picnic type of doohickey here, but I think that fits the aesthetic more, and the grove is just nice. I did also throw a little bee nest up there because I do enjoy seeing bees fly around. Alrighty, now walking down the main road here, we've got our first little tiny market stall. Look at how cute this is. So this is just somebody that sells potions, it's kind of like a random potion. You may get a bad potion, you may get a good potion. It's supposed to be like a little light bulb. And so they're just doing this like little brewing stand outside of their house, and then they can kind of cook things up here. Just a fun little thing to be able to throw in to add a small market stall without taking up as much space as like something like that. So I thought that was a fun little aesthetic to add in. And then as we go down, more little like wagons of people clearing out foliage from under the tree or something. And then we get into the actual town square. And oh, I love how this turned out. So firstly, the bell tower, you'll hear it. It does work. If we go into fly head here, we got the bell here, and you can see it's got some observers. If we go in, you'll notice there is a light here, and then there is a whatever this thing, light sensor here. So every time the sun goes down to a certain point and this turns off, the light turns, or reverse that. This is set to nighttime. So as soon as it goes down to a certain point, this makes the light turn on, activates the observer, which then rings the bell. And then as soon as this makes it so the light turns off, then it reactivates the bell because of the observer. I was trying to figure out ways to make it ring twice, and this was the only way that I could do it in such a compact form. So that's fully, completely original Pixel Brew design. If you ever want to steal it, you're more than welcome. It's just very, very simple and brain dead, but that's how my brain works. So I absolutely love it. You will definitely hear it because we're going to be in this area for a while because there's a lot to talk about. This is a shop that I do not know yet what to do with it. So exterior is totally done and interior is totally done except for this bottom portion here. So I do need help. I don't know what to put in here. I was initially thinking like something with wood carving, or I don't honestly really know, leather working. I'm not sure. Something that fits the village aesthetic, but is something that could also be a good trading value. Moving right along, we're gonna go through all of the shops just because. We've got a little pop-up stall. So this is the Enchantress, and she also has a side gig of selling enchanted books. So that's what this is kind of like entailing. She's got some just like magic books and stuff that she has sitting here. Also could just be regular books, I don't really know. But ooh, with shaders, this does feel very magical because of all the glowiness. In regular Minecraft it doesn't look the same, but that's fun. I kind of like how that actually has some like emissive light type of stuff going on. I like the pop of color that it adds to this whole spot. Like you've got these kind of two brown toned builds and then this really bright, vibrant one. And I think it works pretty decently. And then we get to the blacksmith, which is one of my favorite builds. I think this might be my favorite build, but I do love the blacksmith. So like I had kind of said initially in the time lapse, the idea of it, the reason this is like all dark down here, I initially was going to go with white, and that's why there's a couple white ones, and it's supposed to be like he tried cleaning them and gave up. And the idea is like the smoke from everything he does down here just leaks out and stains everything, so he's just given up. And that's why also, oh, there's the bell, it's time for bed. That's pretty handy that it works and tells me it's time for bed. You know, it's nice. But any hoozle, so yeah, it's dark stained, and then he just went and full committed and did dark stucco type of stuff at the top, just to make it so the walls felt like it was good. Also, I just like using mud for stucco. I think it looks really cool. Because he's handy as well, he did make this upper third floor porch, which is really fun because he can kind of like interact with the people that are staring up there in those balconies. And then he can also look out and have a beautiful view of the lake, the market, and all that sort of stuff. Moving right along, this is the husband and wife duo. So the husband is a potter, the wife is the plant owner. And so to the potter, we've got, what did I call this? Harry Pottery. Yeah, Harry's Pottery. And then this one is called Flora's Flowers. I don't know, what are some names for these? Like we've got blacksmith, enchantress, and then whatever the miscellaneous ends up being. If you give an idea for this, give a name as well so I can put it on a sign. I would like that. Well, yeah, what should we name these? And then moving on to Flora's, I just like how this build turned out. I need to change this. Like, this is not meant to be blue like this. I kind of like it, but it's more so meant to be this color here, and then it transitions into the blue as it gets to the green. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter. It looks good either way. I did add a tree, and the tree is really nice. I do love how it feels like it fits. I don't know. It just like we had this area on this island that felt like it was like needed something, and that's why I added the patio initially. But then I was like, you know what? I think they built around a tree because I think this would work really well. It also adds a nice pop of color as you're like going through, and you can like see this like pop of green back there because it's one of the taller trees. I don't know. I really like it. And I know some of this is review and stuff. I haven't seen this. I haven't been in the world for like 3 weeks because the Oblivion remake happened. Yeah, I definitely have played that game a lot recently. So it's just fun for me to go through. And this is also how you get to the entrance of the inn, which I'm not gonna, we can run up through the upstairs. So when you enter here, you're greeted with this. So this is how you get into the actual like inn portion after talking to the barkeeper. This is how you get your room. So we've got all these like tiny little individual rooms. They all should be well lit. So I should not die here. But well, you know, things have been worse before. But this is how you kind of get through to also the kind of like main lounge area that is only for people that are staying at the inn. And we still have to build this up, but they do have like the patio and stuff here as well. Or the porch, or I don't know what to call that. This is the archway. That is the other entrance to the bridge going that way. So you then can go upstairs here to this level, which has additional rooms, and then you continue going up. More rooms here at the front, and these little side areas are interesting. So this actually is like open air. I wanted to figure out like how do you make it so it's not so stuffy since it's such a big enclosed build, and I was like, well, natural airways, so it doesn't necessarily get like super cold or super hot here, so it should work as an open air kind of concept. So there's like 20 something rooms in this inn, so it is big. It's definitely the biggest build in this entire area. But this is if you remember at all, if you've been around for a while, this is based off of the inn that we initially were going to build in the Netherport city in season 1, but I modified it so that it fit the area here. And I really like how this inn initially was looking anyways, and I thought it would fit really well here. The inn is definitely far and away the most prosperous of all of the businesses here, because this is such a trade-centric area. Like the shops do really well, but the inn does super well because people are always coming through here from the city, staying here. It's cheaper to stay here than in the city, so people go to the city and then come back and stay here because of the wagon service. It just overall works really effectively for them as a business to be able to just like make a lot of money basically off of people staying. And then down below, so a little bit of a honey brew meadery setup here. They've kind of got a partnership with the tavern here. But then this is the tavern. I do really like how the tavern turned out. I think it looks really, really nice. Just like typical tavern, a bunch of tables, bunch of drinks, shelves, plants, a bunch of kegs, just everything I could possibly think of that would fit here. And then I thought it was a really just cool build. As soon as I finished it, I was like, this really helps complete this area. And this is what our map ended up looking like. I figured this should stay. So this is just map of the town. And can you imagine what it looked like beforehand? Yeah. Kind of crazy, the transformation. Do we have a sniffer? We have a sniffer. Hello, bud. I've never seen you before. Hi. Hello. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I've never even heard your sound effect before. I love it. So you're gonna grow up really big. That's gonna be a really tight space actually for him. Oh, that's fun. We do need to make like a sniffer farm to get the ancient plants or whatever they're called. So yeah, that's the inn. I really enjoyed that. And then the stables you've seen before. So now comes the fun part of the markets. So the market stalls, I mean, are a variety of things. We're just going to plow right through. So this is fish, obviously, ice, pickles, fish on top, a little fish stall. I think it turned out really nice. This is like produce. So people from outside in the farming area over yonder are coming in and selling their produce for this town. And I think it's just like they kind of have like a permanent setup during the growing season, and I think that works really well. They also can sell these coconut, I don't know what they are, cocoa beans, really fun, really fun idea. I thought to just have a bunch of plants and stuff, some dried kelp, just a whole variety of things. Definitely the biggest stall here because the town needs produce and they can't really grow it themselves. This is that elm tree that I told you about. I do really like how this turned out. I think it just adds such a nice, having trees adds so much to your builds. Like being able to see leaves and stuff in the sky really helps sell things. Like it feels kind of desolate even with all these buildings, and I just think it overall turns out really nice once you start adding in all the foliage and things. And then of course, yes, we do indeed, I did put horses in here. We've got our stables. I only put a few because they're kind of a pain to get. Maybe I'll breed up a couple, but I'm really pleased. And then you've kind of all seen the rest of this, I believe. So yeah, the birch, and then this is where the dam will be, and then we've got our docks over here that you can see. I just love how this town has turned out. I think it's been such a journey to get it here, but now that it's fully complete, like we started off of nothing and we're done in one episode. Like this is far and away probably the biggest build that I have ever done in one episode, and I think it shows it because this episode's like with me talking now for 34 minutes and now 35 minutes. Definitely the biggest, longest build to have to walk through, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed everything about it. I'm gonna try to go through, edit it down so that it's not like an aggressively like 4-hour long video, but I really hope you have enjoyed it because I have loved every single moment of it, and I think I've shown everything. If I missed anything, I'm terribly sorry, but I've just had such a good time building all of this. It's been so fun. I've learned a ton building all these like boats and figuring out all the textures and trees. Like it's been such a journey, but it's been such a fun journey. Oh, I did add all the little knickknacks and stuff around this area too. So this is now what this storage area looks like, and then the docks do have a variety of things in it. So a bunch of these are meant to be like fish cages. I don't know exactly what to call that, like fish traps, little canoes, all the little things. How much sugarcane? Curiously, how much sugarcane? Not bad, honestly. Like for being such a just a small farm, like that's, I don't know, a row and a half of sugarcane. That's honestly not bad. Boy, is that a nice view. Just being able to see the whole darn village fully complete from all the way up here. Oh, it's so good. And seeing it from this angle, also super nice. The last thing that I'm gonna say is, how many days did it take to build this darn thing? So we started on day, I have not looked at what day it is, so I'm gonna be as surprised as you. I know it's a lot of days, but I don't know. I started on day 435 on this town. Like when I started clearing the land, that's when I started the day count. So day 435. We're on day 1012. That's nearly 600 days. We've nearly spent 600 days in Minecraft building this fishing village. Wow, what a project. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the outcome. I really absolutely love how everything has turned out. I think it has turned out so good. I love this little town. And while I'm not totally done, like there's still interiors and stuff to do, a lot of it is done. The outside aesthetic is done, and I couldn't be more thrilled. So we're going to be coming back in here every now and again. There's some additional little farms I want to make in areas, and there's some certain things that I want to do. But for the most part, it is complete, and I could not be happier. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope I'll see you in the next episode. I am terribly sorry it took so long to put this out, but you saw 600 days. That's a lot of work for a person that doesn't do this full time. But also the Oblivion remake, that also didn't play well. And I'm trying not to like hard stress about releasing episodes every single month if I am doing something like this. So next episode, we're not doing something this nearly to this size. We're gonna get a good amount done next episode, but not a full 26 build village. That is probably a little insane, but I will be back sooner rather than later. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Look forward to the next episode and tell me about all the shops and all the things I requested, because I need help. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of Brew and Build. Hey, bye-bye.